outcomes for today, like Heather said, we have this much of material to go through, but we're breaking it down. So we're going to power through. So part one, we're doing an introduction into the practices and kind of how they all relate and diving a little bit more deeply. And like I said, we're focusing in on that one practice of argumentation. Part two is going to be taking that practice of argumentation and experiencing that through the lens of math, what that looks like through math. And then part three, we're going to take that same practice of argumentation. What does that look like in science? And then part four, we're going to kind of connect across language arts, mathematics, and science. And like I said, love elementary because our brains work making.
So in your handouts, if you want to go ahead and turn to H2 in your handouts, should be the second page after all the sentences, the strips. You can see a Venn diagram that has, the math, science, engineering, and the language arts practices. And as you've realized, we need all the practices for our students to get them into the 21st century. Okay. And in the very center of the Venn diagram, what I'd like you to look at is the most important, or the very important practices that we need to use as evidence for argumentation, whether it's in math, science, whatever subject.
And I just want to jump in real quickly. This is how we organized it this morning. This is another group of people that have organized it differently. So it's not a right or a wrong way, it's just different ways to organize these practices and the connections between them.
Which is what you discovered.
Your next handout are a series of pages of H. It would be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Are we going too far? Oh yeah, we're still going. So it's the more into the definition of the science and the math practices. All the way through, stop at page 30. Page 30 is not part of it, so let's do. So this is a small tree here. So what we're going to do is number you off, and you can see this first page is math practice 1, right? Okay, so make sense of problems and persevere through them. Then if you flip through all the math practices, on page 22, science practice 1. And you're going to get a number. Whatever number you are, you're going to take the math practice of that number and the science practice of that number. So if you're 1, you're going to take math practice 1, science practice 1. The rest of these you don't worry about right now. And then you're going to read through these and discuss that with your partner who is also math 1 and science. So we're looking at the practices. Then, and we learned a little bit more about the practices through the sorting. Then you looked at 2 practices and went more in depth when you were reading through them. And then you went even more, your learning got even deeper as you were sharing out. And then you focused just on one of those, science or math, and you had that opportunity to make a poster. And they're up around the room. So we have the posters up around the room at your leisure. You can, as you were taking breaks and things, just kind of peruse the posters, and that gives a visual representation of what some of those books were able to come up with. And wow, the creativity in here is so amazing. Kindergarten teachers are so amazing at representing things visually. Wow. Wow. And everyone else as well, but I'm really wowed by the kindergarten. So there's, with NGSS and Common Core, there's a lot to understand. And the good thing thing is, the more we do it, the more ways we see it, the more we work through it, the more comfortable we become. We become with it and understand. So this is a long process, takes time. We are where we are now, and it's only uphill from here. Okay, so we did that. So now, what we're going to do is, like Heather was talking about, we're going to take just one practice, argumentation, and really dive into it and see what that looks like in math. So before we do the really serious part, this is what math class sometimes looks like. I don't know if anyone has ever seen Kid Snippets. Or if you haven't, I warn you, because now you know about Kid Snippets, you might go on and Google it and you might lose 2, 3, 4 hours of your life tracking up. So,
Skip to the video.
thank you.
Hi.
Just one, I think is fine.
I think it's already started.
So, this practice of argumentation in math and critiquing the reasoning of others is a practice that can help students, can help us wrestle with and understand the concepts. So, I'm warning you now, you're going to be wrestling with some math concepts at an adult level because we want you to feel and experience some of those things that your kids go through. So, I've wrestled with this. So, yeah, we're going to work at persevering through here as well. So, I'd like you to open up your notebooks to a brand new sheet of paper, and we are going to get ready to dive in. A person is at the cashier's counter about to purchase an item on sale, and this item is at a 10% discount. So the sales tax on that item in this place is also 10%. Okay? So the person is asking the cashier if they could add the tax to the cost and then take away and then do the discount so that then that person could buy the item. When you go, it's usually a different way. Usually the salesperson would put the cost in, then the discount, and then the tax on that, right? Okay. So that's the situation. This is the question. Think in your head. Does the order matter? Is that going to make a difference? Okay. So in your notebook, I want you to do a quick write and talk about, you're going to say if it makes a difference and why you are thinking, what's your reasoning behind if it makes a difference one way or another, or if it doesn't make a difference. Raise your hand if you think it does make a difference. Okay? Raise your hand if you think it doesn't make a difference. Okay? So someone who thinks it does make a difference, could someone just give a quick explanation about why you think it does make a difference? Just
Okay,
your
I
quick
will,
thoughts.
but I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Awesome.
And
Well, then
relative humidity, so if I'm wrong,
And remember, we're doing this at the adult level.
That's right.
And,
So I'm
and
being
this,
upfront.
the purpose is struggling.
Yes.
Right? Okay, cool.
So I decided to make a friendly number, and my object was going to cost $10. So I figured that if they added the tax first, that would be $1. So I have paid now $11 for my item plus the tax. The discount is $1.10, so my overall total would be $10.90. If I did it the other way, I'd have $10. My discount of 10% would be $1, so my object would cost $9, and the tax would be 90 cents for an overall total of $9.90. So if the discount is given first, the cost of the item is less, hence the tax on the item is less than the tax on the full price item. The overall total is less.
Okay.
If the tax is added first, the discount is greater, but the cost was still more of the item and the tax, so the overall total is more.
Okay, so that's your reasoning. And we're gonna go more into it, right? We're gonna go more into it. Anyone think that it doesn't matter? Okay, yes. Since your hand was
Yes, I totally agree with their thinking.
okay.
But, and it works, except if you take and you do your tax first and you add 10% onto it, you're adding $1. So you then have $11 as your total, and then when you take 10% off, it's $1.10. So it's still $9.90. No matter which way you do it.
Oh, I have a subtraction.
So,
You see that now.
so my question is,
But the thinking was absolutely right.
so there's a process that both of you explained going through, but why? What's the reasoning behind it? So you explained both your processes very well, but what's the why? Yes.
I think the difference is this tax.
Okay.
Is the state prefers to get more tax.
So it might depend on who you are. It might depend on if you're California or if you're Hot Topic.
No, it doesn't matter which state.
Right. What I mean, yeah.
Whoever's the recipient of the tax would be trying to get the most tax
Right.
to use it the most ways. So they would prefer getting $1.10 in tax versus 90 cents in tax.
Good. Yep. Exactly. And the store would have a different perspective on it, maybe? Going with some reasoning. Yes.
Higher tax, they'll get a higher part of that tax.
I solved it the same way with a friendly number, exactly. So in this particular case, I do not believe it makes a difference. However, if we jump to the element of argumentation of, does this work always? I thought that was a fantastic question that my little group stumbled upon. My theory would be no, because of the different counties having different it's because, in my opinion, it's the 10% and 10%. It's the exact mirror of discount plus tax. If they were different, then we'd have a significant difference.
Okay.
That's my theory.
Perfect.
That's my argument.
Perfect. And it's a it's a great place to begin. All of these are great places to begin, and it's awesome that we're all beginning in different places. If we all began in a same very mathematically minded argumentation, then we wouldn't do this problem, we'd do something else, right? Yes.
I like that we also got time to work it out, because I started with the preconceived notion of that it would make a difference, and then through working it out, I was like, oh, numbers say it doesn't.
And some people did work it out before they wrote their statement, and some people didn't, and that was fine either way. So what we have just done in this practice of argumentation is you've made a conjecture. And what your conjecture is, which to translate that into English, I like what Susie was saying, it's her opinion. That's her opinion. And some of you said, yes, it makes a difference. Some of you said no. Those are your opinions. Formed, and really before you did anything with numbers, it would be your opinion that was formed without any proof, and without sufficient evidence. So even if you have done some of those numbers, you've only done, I only gave you time really to do it one or two different ways. Then you've also placed on there a justification. So the justification would be your reasoning behind what you think. And we've only just given you a little bit of time to work through what you're thinking. Okay? So that's where we are now. So let's work with some friendly numbers to do some work to try to understand this so that we can make an explanation, so that you can construct an explanation about why this does or does not work. And I'm going to suggest the friendly numbers of, let's say the cost of the item is $100. And let's say the tax is 10%. So we're making them really, really friendly and keeping them the same, or close to, right, the same. So go ahead and work through with your partner and construct an explanation, and you can use these numbers to help you.
Not calculating.